Now, what do we got? We have number 11. Do we have time? I mean, we got some time here.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think principle 11 really also demonstrates that what we're talking about here, that universal intelligence, universal force here in this example, that it's not God, because it talks about how principle number 11, the character of universal forces. The forces of universal intelligence are manifested as physical laws, which we were just talking about a moment ago, are unswerving and unadapted, and have no solicitude for structures of matter. So basically, we're just talking here, correct me if I'm wrong, but that universal forces are destructive. That is an actual principle later.
That creates a real uh, conundrum, because when we say destructive, we have a concept of things being destructive, being bad, and I'm not sure that we can use destructive that way. We
Hmm.
talk about in chiropractic, or in biology, we talk about anabolism and catabolism, and yet catabolism is kind of a destructive thing.
Sure.
The digestive process, it has to break down matter
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
into usable form,
It's
but that's,
destroying matter, you might say.
yeah, it's destroying matter. So it's not changing its existence, it's just changing, it's just
Right.
into usable matter. So, but universal forces tend to be destructive from our standpoint. Um,
But we
I,
see like the sun beating down on the old barn out in the field, and then it's withering away, and we automatically label that destructive, but it's just a breaking down process of something that's no longer being used, and it turns it into something else that
mhm.
can't be used.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite sayings is by Gutzon Borglum. Uh, he was the fellow who, the sculptor who
Oh yeah, Mount
did
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore,
Yeah.
and he said, uh, we've what I've created is something that demonstrates the things that we've done as a nation, the history of our nation, and I just I need to just breathe a prayer that the wind and the rain alone will wear them away, and so far. Uh, that's we haven't replaced them yet with anybody else. Although I think we've had a couple past presidents who wish that their physiognomy was up on Mount Rushmore rather than Lincoln or Jefferson
Yes.
or Ted Roosevelt or Washington. But um, they tell me that people have to they have to get up there every so many years and do a little do a little work on Washington's face,
Little
and
facelift.
yeah. So we know that the universal forces, which would be the rain and the wind, are having an effect on even the rock that they're made out of, and they have to be intelligently uh, changed by somebody. I think I'm sure that Gutzon Borglum is long past to
Yeah.
his reward, but somebody else is still doing that, uh,
I
and
think the
that.
better word, and I mean, I put the words in there, but again, Stevenson's words that he used are the better words: unswerving and unadapted.
Mhm.
Doesn't necessarily mean destructive. It's just they don't have any care, you might say. The rain, the wind doesn't care what it's hitting. It's just doing its thing.
Yeah,
And we interpret that, I interpret that as destructive, but that's not what he's saying. And that's, so my point is that God is not unswerving and unadapted. He can adapt and he can control. So that's why we can again say that they're two separate things. Is that right? Or
yeah. I think that's right. And uh, I think when I used to go down to the shore, uh, the one shore we went to was in had a rather short beach, and that was because the tide was washing the sand out. It was leaving taking it off of Long Beach Island, which is where we usually went.
Right.
And so you got to the ocean real quick, but then it must have deposited that sand on Ocean City Beach, and your feet got really hot before you got to the water's edge to cool them off, because the universal forces of the tide was uh, making a difference, and it was washing that sand out. So even though it was destructive to the beach, and they had to constantly put more sand on that beach, uh, the beach was being constructed uh, by the
Right. By the
by the
same forces.
yeah, the same forces. It just moved the beach, and I don't know whether God liked Ocean City more than
Must
Long
have.
Beach. But anyway, uh, that was and I think that I think that and I think there's a passage in the Bible that says, the rain rains on the just and the unjust alike, and I think that kind of says it all there. That's a universal force, is that rain, and it's coming down on the farmer, uh,
Okay.
and the person who's planning a picnic for the entire family,
Yeah.
and for the person who's got a picnic planned, he's see that rain is going to destroy our picnic,
Right.
and but the farmer is saying, we needed that rain very badly, and so it just
Well,
depends on
in your book again, in your commentary book, I'll just read this last part because this sums it all up and what you just said there as well. Um, if ever there was confusion as to whether universal intelligence and God were the same, this principle should clear it up once and for all. All religions describe God in terms of having a will. Universal intelligence does not have a will, no solicitude, no concern for matter. Good, bad, rich, poor, it relates to all matter in the exact same manner. Its forces are destructive towards structural matter.
Yeah, I think we if we understand that destructive means to break it down to
Yeah,
simplest atomic
yeah.
components, and that's what we're talking
That
about.
isn't
So
always a bad thing.
right, right,
A necessary thing, like you explained with digestion. We have to have that. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get any nutrients from our food. So it isn't
exactly.
always bad. It's just always breaking it
Yeah,
down.
it's just from our perspective, and sometimes if we've got indigestion,
Yeah,
then that's bad, but that's still, that's because there's something wrong with our body, and maybe we need adjustment, or maybe something else is wrong, that our
yeah,
body is able to digest the food. But that's what
right,
that it was designed to digest that food,
right.
and uh, that's why we don't eat
Awesome.
things that are not digestible, and
Yeah.
that's yeah.
I've had some meals that maybe shouldn't have been eaten, but I ate them anyway, and my body tried to digest it.
Yeah, and or else it passes it through.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Gets rid of it one way or the other. Hey, this is a record for us. We got through 4 principles today, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we're doing.
Nice.
I think we should get through these
Yeah,
principles.
I think we're
Uh,
going to. There's
yeah,
hope.
we may spend a little more time when we start getting into innate intelligence,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Hmm.
I think what we're doing that's the purpose is to set up the groundwork for innate intelligence. I think David Koch has has broken those principles, those 33 principles, down into, and I can't recall what the word was he used to define them, but you know, I think he left chiropractic principles. I think the last 4 or 5 were chiropractic principles. I forget what he called the other, but just
Hmm.
they were. I think he gave a specific name for them, which I think just
Check
kind
that
of
out.
divides them in. Yeah,
Yeah.
principles or laws of uh, matter or material things,
Right.
and
Cool.
uh,
Check that out.
yeah,
All right. Well, thank you again so much for your time.
my,
And
my
this is just great. I just love this, and yeah, I can't express my gratitude enough for you to take the time to do this. And it's helping me. It's helping the people that are getting to see this and to be better chiropractors. And I think I just want to make sure that we as chiropractors have some kind of connection to where we come from, and that we understand that we have this profession founded upon truth, upon reason and logic and deductive reasoning, and we can be proud of that, and share these principles with the people who come into our office, and they're going to benefit from that as well. So thank you.